All right, guys. So I don't usually do spoiler videos because there's really no need to. Only unless there is a need to. For this movie, I honestly didn't expect to have this many spoiler-filled thoughts on a Mission Impossible film, but here we are, and I do. So I just need to. There's so many things that I really loved about the movie that I couldn't actually really go into because of spoilers, and there are like two major things that I didn't like about the screenplay specifically that were really spoiler filled. So I'm gonna get into them a little later. But for the positives, there are two of them, right? The first one is that in my review, my actual review for the movie, I mentioned that there was a character that tied into a previous film in the franchise. That character was the White Widow. Now, for all of you who have seen the movie and are now watching this video, you know who the White Widow is. You know that the White Widow is Max's daughter. And if you don't remember who Max is, well then, why are you watching this video? And have you even seen the Mission Impossible films? What's wrong with you? Um, Max was in the first film. She was an arms dealer, and as we see in this movie, her daughter has followed in the same steps. And I like the fact that this one, that it's 6 films in, and they're still tying in, they're still, tying into previous films. They're building this universe up, I just realized, which is yet another thing that the second one in the franchise never did. It never tried to build, never, anyway, forget it. Fuck the second one. The second thing that I mentioned in my review that I couldn't talk about was a scene that I described as a bunch of characters meeting up again. And it was a very emotional scene that was like that because, if you've seen previous films in the franchise, that scene was the scene where Ethan finds Julia behind him, and then everyone stops, and then she looks behind her, sees Luther and Benji, and it's really emotional because given how the third one ended, they did have a happy life. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I just found it so emotional because I am invested in Ethan and Julia as characters and in their relationship because the third one built them up so well, but also because earlier in this movie, Fallout, there is another scene that builds up this scene where they all see each other for the first time in a long time, where Luther is explaining to Ilsa that, Ethan had a wife and some bad shit happened along the way, and now they're not together for pretty dramatic reasons. And that first scene that sets up this scene where they all see each other again, honestly, these two scenes go hand in hand because that one cannot work without the other. You cannot have that second scene without the first scene to set up that second scene. And if there is no second scene, then the first scene is kind of pointless. So either way, they go hand in hand. And yeah, anyway, I just really love how this movie, out of all the other movies, had more of an emotional impact. I guess with me. I mean, I was the only one. Like, I had my sister and dad sitting next to me, and I think I was the only one. I was the one crying more than them. Yeah, I'm a big baby. So, I just get really invested into franchise films, especially when they're good, of course. Another great positive that I also couldn't go too deep into my review is the villain, the actual villain. Lane returns from the fifth one, but he's not really the villain for this one. The villain is actually Henry Cavill, and he plays August Walker, who turns out to be the alias named John Lark. He is a damn good villain. I don't know. This is how good his villain is in this movie. It's honestly a toss up between him and Owen Davian. Now, if you've seen my review for MI3, you know how much I love Owen Davian. August Walker / John Lark, he might be as good, or if not better, okay? Because he kills Hunley, yes, Hunley dies, and then threatens to kill Julia, to Ethan, and then they have planned to set off a nuclear bomb, 2 nuclear bombs, in the same area where she is currently working in. That's not a coincidence. That's an attack on Ethan. That just makes him such a great villain because he's actually a prick in this movie. And going into this movie, seeing him as this asshole of a villain coming off of seeing him as like Superman. It's like, wow, man, this guy has range. He's a really good actor. And it's also the writing for the villain that makes it good too. Anyway, that is my positive thoughts, my spoiler-filled positive thoughts on the movie, alright? Now I'm going to get into my negatives, and I only have two, and they are my personal problems with the screenplay, as I said earlier. The first one is there is this one scene where... Okay, I'll put it like this. The director, Christopher McQuarrie, directed the fifth one. And in order to make this one feel different, right? He said that he wanted to make this movie darker and more emotional. It is more emotional, and it is a little more darker, but not actually darker, because there's this scene in the film where we're seeing Ethan with a whole bunch of people just mowing down these cops. Now, this is something Ethan would never do. He only kills the bad guys, as we see a bunch in these movies. So he has a sense of morality, right? And there's this hypothetical scene where he is with this whole bunch of bad people killing cops, and then there's the last shot of this hypothetical scene is him killing a cop. And as I said, it's a hypothetical scene, so they cut back to reality, and we realize in the theater that, oh shit, that's not actually happening, it was just a hypothetical scene. I didn't like that, because the director, behind the scenes, has said that he wanted to make the movie darker, to set it apart from the fifth one, which he directed, so now he's directed two, so he wanted to make each feel like different movies in tone, right? But it seemed like he wanted to do that, but was like the writers and him or the producers, someone was too afraid to actually take Ethan in that direction, so they showed us Ethan doing that, but not actually in reality, so therefore we are seeing Ethan doing it, but it's not real, so it feels like it feels cheap. I'll just put it like that. Personally, I hate that idea. I've always hated it in any movie. Doesn't matter how much I love a movie. By the way, I do love this movie. I just have always hated the idea of a hypothetical scene showing us something that could be happening, but then we find out that it's not happening. Oy, it's like Inception all over again. Alright, the second problem that I have with the screenplay is the bike chase in the movie. Now, this is not to be confused with the bike chasing car scene. This is purely a bike chase. Ethan trying to escape from the police. He's on a bike, and they're on a bike too. They're on bikes too, right? That's all the scene is, okay? If you've seen the movie, you of course know what I'm talking about. I just did not like this scene. I mean, it's not a horrible scene, alright? It's entertaining, but it's not interesting. Like, when I was watching the scene, even now on second viewing, first time viewing it and second time viewing it, I just didn't feel any tension, because it's just Ethan. As much as I'm invested in Ethan as a character, it's just him trying to evade the police, and that's it. Take the bike chase in the fifth one, for example. That one had Ilsa trying to escape from the syndicate chasing after her, right? And then Ethan chasing after the syndicate, trying to get them off of her, but also Ethan trying to get after her to get the disc thing. And it was a complex bike chase. It was complicated. There were many players involved in the bike chase, right? In this one, it's just Ethan evading or trying to escape from the police. That's it. I just didn't feel like the stakes. That's actually a great word to use. The stakes in the bike chase in number 5 was much higher than the stakes in the bike chase in Fallout, if you know what I mean. Like, the stakes of this movie in general are higher than Rogue Nation, but with the two different bike chase scenes, okay? The stakes in one scene is higher, that being Rogue Nation, and the stakes in the bike chase in Fallout is There's really not that much involved. I think if they were to have, I don't know, had the Apostles or the Syndicate, which are in Fallout, also chasing after Ethan, maybe even if they were trying to like mow through some cops to get to Ethan, and he would have to go back and like save some cops. I don't know. Just they could have made it a more interesting bike chase, but they chose not to, or maybe they just didn't have enough time. I don't know. But I don't know. It's just coming off of the 5th one with that bike chase. This one kind of lacked. That's all it is. But it's still an entertaining bike chase. Look, just in case there could be that one internet guy or girl that is confused. It's like, oh, he loves the movie, but why does he have so many problems with it? Well, just because I love a movie doesn't mean I can't have problems with it. Which I do. I have problems with this movie. I love MI3. I praised that movie, and I still had a couple problems with it. I loved Ghost Protocol. Had a problem with that. Surprisingly, didn't have any problems with Rogue Nation. Which I didn't. If you've seen my review, I didn't have any problems with it. But this one, I had a couple problems with it, and with the screenplay. But here's the thing. I'm going to put it into perspective for you. Watching this a second time, those 2 problems that I had with the screenplay didn't annoy me as much. Okay? So when I was watching the movie the first time, coming off of it the first time, those 2 scenes were bugging me because of reasons that I just explained. Right? But on second viewing, I don't know. I just felt more relaxed and was able to enjoy the movie more. Long video, I apologize. But that is my spoiler talk, or spoilers, I don't know, for Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout. I don't know, I just really needed to make this video just to let those 2 problems out. Because honestly, if I didn't make a video about it, I don't think I would have ever had another chance to talk about my 2 flaws with it. Anyway, that's it. I will see you in another video. I don't know what that video will be. I honestly don't know what's coming up next on my channel. I do have things planned, but I don't know in what order. So whatever video comes out next, I will see you in that video.